And
And
I find a
we
good page. There we go.
should.
It currently has a 4.62 rating.
Okay.
That's good.
We are officially live on Twitch, so that's a good start.
Hooray! Hello, Twitch.
Right?
How's it going, Twitch?
And did you, yes, you did tweet, so I will go ahead and like and tweet it as well.
I tweeted it and I then posted it in all the discords except for yours, apparently, because I just realised I did not do that one.
Well, so actually, I deleted
What?
my Discord
Oh, I
server.
was just looking for it on my list. I'm like, where have you gone?
I,
No wonder I
I,
missed it.
I did. I deleted it last weekend, maybe. I was just like, a couple people have reached out about it, and it wasn't meant to be like a dramatic exit or anything. Like I'm still gonna stream and I'm still gonna be around. It's just I was not doing anything with the Discord, and I like it stressed me out that it wasn't active, and I was like, how do I get people active in it? And I was like, well, I guess I have to actually be streaming in order for it to be active. So I was just like, forget it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't need it. We have like a billion discords that people are in. I, you know, I take streaming video games a little bit more serious when I have the time, and I just don't have the time.
Oh.
This summer I will. I'll be
I was going
streaming
to
a
say,
lot
when are
more.
you on holiday? When does your summer break start?
So there's 14 more days of school for kids, and then I work an additional 2 weeks after that, and then I'll be off.
Okay.
So yeah, and then I'll be off until August, like mid-August, something like that.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, so it's like 2 months, which is great. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I'm looking forward to streaming again. I really like streaming in the mornings, like getting up with some coffee and streaming for like the first half of the day, and so I will probably continue to do that again once the summer hits, and yeah. So anyway, all that's to say, I deleted the my personal Discord.
Oh dear. Okay. Fair enough. It shows how observant I am, seeing as I didn't notice, because I really only look when they blink up to say
Yeah,
there's a new message.
yeah.
So because it's not blinked up, I've not really noticed.
No, and that's fair. That's totally fair. And I do the same thing with Discords that I'm in too. It's just like,
Yeah.
um, yeah. It was just one of those
I'm
things where,
surprised nobody DM'd me to say, "Oh my God, Tim's deleted his Discord.
right,
What's going on?"
right. I guess that's probably a good thing too. But yeah, the one the one like sub thread in my Discord that people did like was the sports section,
Oh yeah.
and so and really that was Miami, Vtox, and Elite. And so what I did was I created a group message, and I just with all of them, and I just said, hey, I'm deleting my Discord. I really enjoy talking sports with you guys, though. Let's keep that going. We'll just move it to a group message, and
Yeah.
it's actually, yeah, it's worked out really well. So
Okay, good. Well, that's good because then I don't need to read the sports stuff because I'm not interested.
exactly.
Well, I am interested in sport, just not the same sport.
No, yeah, yeah, that's fair. Um, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I've had my first official week off work.
Hey, how's that? How was that?
It was interesting. So I finished on Friday the 29th, and I just crept out of the office, didn't tell anybody. So I still don't know how they've managed it in the office, like
Oh,
with me
wow.
leaving.
So
But
you
there was
didn't.
nobody in anyway. It was like, no, I can't get
Okay.
anyone in on Friday, so it's fine.
Interesting.
Um, But then I panicked all weekend thinking that I'd forgotten to do something or I'd done something wrong or, that just
Yeah.
weird anxiety thing. And it was a bank holiday as well, so I didn't get to speak to my old boss until Tuesday. But then he rang me Tuesday morning and he was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry I didn't get to call you on Friday," and was like
Oh,
really lovely. And I got an email from the CEO to say, stay in touch, let us know what you're
really?
doing.
Okay.
So all of that stuff. So yeah, no, I mean they're all kind of gutted that they had to get rid of me, I think.
I was gonna say, I mean, I feel like that shows because, yeah, unfortunately, it's like business, not personal, right? It's like one of those situations where you. I'm glad that they respected you enough to like reach out and
Mm,
cared enough to want to make sure that they still keep in touch with you.
yeah,
I mean, it's all pleasantries, right? But for the
it
most
is.
part,
But yeah, I mean, I
it's
I
still
said
nice.
to yeah, even said to Mark, the CEO, and I was like, I'm seriously considering going freelance rather than taking another permanent job.
Yeah, that's
And he was
yeah.
like, "Oh, brilliant! Yeah, let me know if you're going to do that because I think that they will throw work my way as well if
Like if they get overloaded
I
or
do that."
something.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I got to put some work into working out if I can do that or not. But anyway,
Well,
so how's your week been?
yeah. My week is been busy. I mean, work is stressful. It's we're starting to. I think I talked about this last, maybe with you like 2 weeks ago. Like we're just about getting over to that point of like people are not as like, um, oh my gosh, you need to come in and we need this, we need help with this kid, yada, 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 because we only have 14 days left, like, and there's field trips that are scheduled. And um, so I'm getting less, as time gets closer to the end of the year, I'm getting less like referrals, I guess you could say,
Yeah,
which is to be expected. And that's kind of nice. But it's still, I I basically had a mic drop moment with a teacher that was being incredibly unprofessional, and I just put them in their place, so to speak, and they stormed out of the meeting, and I felt pretty darn good about it afterwards because it was justified.
I love those moments.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was pretty fantastic, and I had my coworkers texting me afterwards to just be like, I that was my favorite part of the day. Like they were just like that was the best. I want to be Tim when I grow up is what one of them said. Like,
I want to be Tim when I grow up.
oh
I don't know about
God,
anyone else.
I don't know. I'll let you know when that happens. When I grow up, I mean,
When you
yeah.
grow up, okay. When you grow up and you work out what you want to be, I'll follow suit. Perfect. Oh dear. All right.
Well,
Are we ready to kick off
I
officially?
I think we're ready. Um, if anybody's hanging out in chat, just know that we won't be uh, able to really do a whole lot of interaction with the live chat on Twitch, but we'll be checking it periodically. We just might not respond verbally to it. Um,
Might wave though.
yeah, we'll definitely wave for sure. For sure. Okay. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Book Nook podcast. My name is Tim, and as always, my co host is here with me.
Hi, I'm Claire.
It's
Ho-
Claire.
Hope everyone's happy and well.
Yes, yes. It's been a busy week, but it's been good, and I have been looking forward to this. Um, today we are going to be talking about the book, "The Kaiju Preservation Society" by John Scalzi. And before we get too in depth with it. We should probably note that our release schedule has, at least for the audio version, is a little bit delayed. We have had one of our dear friends and editors, kind of like
Editor,
secret,
producer,
yes,
secret
producer,
guru.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome human.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, have some personal stuff pop up in their life, and we didn't feel like it was appropriate to, push to try to get it out while they're dealing with what it is that they're dealing with. So, if you're listening to this audio recording of episode 3, it was recorded on May 8th, which is Mother's Day in the United States, but not so much the UK.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day, Americans
Um,
and Canadians. Is it Canadians as well?
I
I don't
don't
know.
know. I don't know. Um, but we are. This is the first book of May that we'll be reading, and we'll be talking about at the end of the podcast the next 2 books that we're going to kind of like throw out into our lineup, so you'll know what is coming up next, so that you can either choose which of the 2 books you'd like to read if your time is limited, or if you would like to read both, then you can get started right away. And thinking about other business up front, we have some socials to follow. First of all, we have a Discord, which I need to start linking the Discord in our
Yes.
our like audio podcast download feed, so that people can get to it, even if they're listening via audio. Or if you're on Twitch, or if you're on like our other social medias, I believe it is linked in our bio on Twitter. The book underscore no the underscore book underscore nook.
Yeah.
On Twitch and Twitter and Instagram, I believe as well. Correct?
Instagram is complicated. Actually, so's Twitter, to be honest, because
Okay.
it's I yeah.
Because
We'll put
because
some links. We're going to put
names.
some links in the bio, and
Perfect.
also in the we're going to sort out the Twitch panels and all that
Yes.
stuff, and then people will be able to click because usernames are taken.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
book Nook on Twitter, Nook is spelled N00K.
Oh,
So
okay.
and on
Yes.
on Instagram it's TBN underscore the underscore book underscore Nook.
Thank you so much for clearing that up, Claire. I have been thinking about like things that we could do on TikTok as well. If we want to venture into the TikTok verse, that's what the
Yeah,
kids that's what the kids are into these days, right?
yeah.
So there's some things that I thought that we could do, whether that be like some special like mini videos of um, what it could look like if we read books outside of the 2 books a month, which
Okay.
I actually have found that I am doing. I don't know about you, Claire,
Yeah, I
but
am.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get into that a little bit too. But I don't know. Do we have a TikTok yet, or do we need to
We don't. We need to sign
solidify?
up.
Okay,
We
okay.
need to sign up to TikTok.
Maybe I can work on that. Um, I can't promise dances, but who knows? That seems to be how you gain traction on that app, but I don't
Hmm.
think for the same reasons. Um, anyway, uh, we will go ahead and jump in. If there's nothing else, Claire, what do you think?
I'm just thinking, maybe like rather than you and I do dances, we make all of our friends do them instead, and then we just post those on TikTok.
I mean, I'm down for that. That sounds great. Um, we could do. How could we incorporate dances and books? Like, I don't know. We'd have to like hold them while dancing or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure we can come up with something. Let's get our creative brains involved.
Yeah, because the TikTok dances are usually choreographed, and the sounds are associated with them. But anyway, um,
What we really, really need
yeah,
is a social media manager that is really
we
good at this stuff.
do.
So that,
We do. Actually, we do. That would be great because I do feel like that is a limitation for us. Definitely for
we have
me.
no money, we're not paying for it.
Oh,
But we,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is, very much on a voluntary basis.
Mhm.
And because you love us and because you're into that sort of a thing. Great
I'm
for your
so well.
resume, though.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Exposure. Everyone loves doing
Exposure.
things for exposure, don't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll get shout outs. Yeah, we'll make it worth your while somehow. Just not monetarily, because neither one of us.
Because we're poor. Let's
Yeah,
face
I
it, we're
mean,
poor.
there's that, and we're not making any money off of this, right?
No, no, we are not.
With that being said, please support your local libraries. All right.
Yes. If you can find any still open in the UK.
Oh, are they shutting down? What?
No. Yeah, yes and no. There's
Really?
still a lot out there, but there's been a lot that have closed down.
So, one of the schools that I work in, their school library also acts as the town's like the community library.
Oh, okay.
So people from the community can come into the school to, take out books and things like that. It's really interesting. I've never seen one jointly, uh, you know, connected. But anyway,
That's quite a good idea. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Um,
the libraries that I work experienced in a library when I was okay. Long story short, I was kicked out of school when I was 15, and rather than homeschooling or anything else, they sent me off to do work experience, and I went to do work experience in a library.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, I was a very naughty child, and I just remember it smelling of old men and pipe tobacco
Oh
constantly.
God,
I don't
what
think
a
that's a good look for a school,
what a
but yeah,
combination. No.
I know.
No, no, I had no idea. I think you had mentioned the school thing before, but I didn't know that you worked in a library.
Yeah, yeah, I did. Not for that long actually, a few months, but yeah, I really enjoyed it actually. It was a great job to have.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and I could take out any books I wanted, and they also let me off all of my late fees that I'd built up, which was only about £3 or something at the time. But
Oh, okay.
£3 for me and my 15-year-old self was quite a lot.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That's like lunch, right?
mhm. Well, I mean that's probably lunch now, but back then it was, I'm actually not going to go on any further about that because then I'll just give away how old I am.
Oh, that's
Three
that's totally
pounds was
fine.
quite a lot of money when I was 15.
It's really, you just something that you said just sparked my like if we have audio only listeners that
Hmm.
are have just never um seen us or know who we are, just the fact that like they would be guessing as to what we would look like or how old we would be,
Mm.
that's interesting. I've never had that happen as flipped. Like obviously like me, I'm always enjoying other people's content, but anyway,
Mm.
the psychologist in me is yeah, perked up.
I
Anyway.
mean, if you really, really want to know how old I am, feel free to DM me or
Yeah,
send me a
exactly.
tweet and I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah. Or you could come over to twitch.tv/ the underscore book underscore nook and you could find out.
So we talking about libraries, so just before we go on to the book, because I
Hmm.
don't think this book discussion is actually going to be that long.
It's not.
Um, I thought that leading up to today. But we do have a question from one of our viewers,
Yeah,
Ted,
yeah.
who's talking about libraries and the fact
Hmm.
that there's a school library and a community library in the same place. So, is there less restrictions on the books then if it's also for the community?
So that's a good question. So there does not seem to be. It does. Basically, what I've found is that their school library looks like it covers more subjects and like more genres, and it might just be a little bit deeper in depth because it's also serving as a community library. Um, for those of you that are based in the United States, we seem to be how do I want to say this professionally? We seem to be backwards in some of our states in terms of uh, social and political ideas and values. And so, one of the things that we are currently wrestling with in my state is uh, like a book reform type of scenario, and we have multiple people calling for specific young adult books, or not just in the young adult category, but books in general, to no longer be allowed to be checked out. Um, because it has to do with certain subjects or themes that they view as an attack on their beliefs, or is counterintuitive to the things that they must be expressing at home to their kiddos. Or the biggest thing is that we hear the word in that the public school system is indoctrinating our children. Yeah. So that is obviously something that I feel like we on the Book Nook do not support. And we are very much an inclusive group of people on the podcast, and so it's been interesting. I haven't noticed that because it's a community library and a school library, whether or not like that it has impacted anything. I do know that the school district that this currently takes place in is a very conservative school district, like the community is. But they have not, although people have brought this issue up to the school board with an expectation of them taking action to ban certain books, the school board has denied that request every time that it has come up so far. Uh, oh, Claire, I am not hearing you.
Oh, that's because I pressed mute because I had to deal with the dog very quickly and I forgot to unmute again.
That's
Oops.
okay.
So yeah, that's really good that they've denied the request to ban certain books.
Yeah.
So this is I don't want to get into too much of a tangent on this, and
Hmm.
you and I are very much on the same page with it, I know. Um, but my feeling is that most children will follow pretty much the belief system of their parents. It doesn't really matter what school they go to, what friends they have, or whatever, unless
I
it's
agree.
pretty extreme. They tend to generally follow in that trend. So, unless you are not as secure in your beliefs as you perhaps portray yourselves to be, you shouldn't be scared of your children reading around subjects that you can then discuss with them. So, surely it's people that are not actually that secure that their belief systems are the right ones that are actually suggesting that they ban these influences on their children. I don't know. Maybe that's just
They absolutely view it as a threat, um,
Mm,
because they feel as though what values and beliefs they are expressing at home and discussing with their children is what they're hearing at school is somehow thought to be the exact opposite of what they would want their children to be hearing. Um, and to me, it shouldn't be viewed as a threat if the student is just hearing a different perspective or
mm,
a different point of view. As educators, well, that's essentially what we're tasked with.
yeah,
And we are not in any way, shape, or form putting our own beliefs or philosophies or values onto or ideals onto those topics, but we if especially if a student brings it up in a class discussion, it should not be dismissed or you know there's ways to talk about subjects and themes without giving your opinion on the matter.
yeah,
And most of the time you really just have to open it up to the students as an open forum to let them almost like take control of that conversation and discussion, because what is okay is for different points of view from the kids to be thrown back and forth. Like they can hear each other, but what's important is that we are not the ones bringing our views and thoughts and ideals into it. But if we can help facilitate a conversation, that's a win,
yeah,
because so many people in this country cannot do that. They cannot have discourse, political, social, or otherwise. It's immediate shutdown, and there's not a lot of listening going on. But there is in our schools, and I would fight tooth and nail for that to continue to happen.
beautiful. Me too. And it's the same here, pretty much.
I didn't
All
know.
right.
Yeah. So anyway,
Excellent. Excellent discussion. Thank you for that.
yes, absolutely. This is going to be a complete shift now, to talking about our book of the month. And that, again, is the Preservation Society by John Scalzi. Claire, have you read any of John Scalzi's work before?
I have not. No, I've seen it. It comes up on my recommended reads quite a lot.
Okay.
And for some reason, the blurbs have never really grabbed me. I probably will read some because I want to contrast his other works with this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Knowing what I know now after reading this one. But yeah, I have not. Have you?
No, so I have not. I haven't either. But he has quite a long list
Mhm.
of other works. I want to say like over 20 different ones, that I was kind of scrolling through. I've absolutely heard the name, but I just haven't seen the or read his other work. So this book came up in one of like some website did a list of like the 10 best science fiction slash fantasy books in 2021, and this happened to be on that list. And I was like, when I saw it, I was like, all right, this looks really interesting. Anything with kaiju, that sounds fun. Like, for those of you that are unaware, kaiju is a name for a species of creature, or you might even say monster, but essentially it's like the Godzilla, King Kongs of the cinematic universe. That is what is, you know, the coined the term kaiju, basically. And so, this idea of a preservation society that is tasked with taking care of the kaiju in this universe is really interesting. And so, I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about. I'll go ahead and read the little description that is available on Goodreads. So, when COVID 19 sweeps through New York City, Jamie Gray is stuck as a dead end driver for food delivery apps. That is until Jamie makes a delivery to an old acquaintance, Tom, who works at what he calls an animal rights organization. Tom's team needs a last minute grunt to handle things on their next field visit. Jamie, eager to do anything, immediately signs on. What Tom doesn't tell Jamie is that the animals his team cares for are not here on Earth. Not our Earth, at least. In an alternate dimension, massive dinosaur like creatures named Kaiju roam a warm and human free world. They're the universe's largest and most dangerous panda, and they're in trouble. It's not just the Kaiju Preservation Society that's found its way to the alternate world, others have too, and their carelessness could cause millions back on Earth to die. So, that's the synopsis on the back of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am curious to know how you felt hearing that description after reading the book. Do you think that it was what it claims to be, or at least the premise that it sets up?
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's a synopsis. It's an accurate synopsis of what the book is. Um, I think, um, from what I understand, and this is difficult because having not read anything else by John Scalzi,
Yeah,
I feel like this is a slight departure from his usual
he kind of
kind of writing, maybe.
yeah. Um, Yeah, he sort of hints at that and acknowledges that. At the end of the book, there's like an acknowledgments and like final thoughts from the author type deal, and uh, it seems as though Scalzi, you know, had a delay of another book that he was supposed to have written, and
Yeah,
he just
because
wasn't.
he actually got COVID, I think,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
was kind of out of it for a while, and then lots of stuff happened. There was a lot of, things happening in the States that were, you know,
yes,
causing him stress and
yeah.
making it difficult for him to write. And I think that was, yeah, kind of all contributed to him not actually completing the original book that he started to write, and then eventually he wrote this one. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it's fair to say that great literature this ain't. It's um, it's a kind of a romping, light-hearted sci-fi book about kaiju, which is kind of what it sets out to be. I think
hmm
so. It does what it says on the tin. Um, but it might be difficult for people that are used to his other works that might be more in depth, or that they might find it more disappointing. But yeah, I mean, it romps through quite funny. I think the other thing to say is that we both listened to this on audio,
We did.
and it was narrated by Will Wheaton, who has narrated other books that I've listened to as well.
Same.
And he has a very particular style. um, I did find it slightly irritating, the style, um, but I got over it and continued to listen to it, and I enjoyed it a bit more as it went through the book. But this is not going to be a very long podcast, I don't think, because there's not a huge amount to go into in depth
No.
in the book. But it starts out, and the tone is set very, very early on. It's very irreverent, sarcastic, light-hearted. There's not a lot of depth of feeling or themes that you can explore in this book. It's just a bit of a fast-paced, romp.
Yeah. It's kind of
Yeah,
like a popcorn flick. Like you go to the movies in the summertime and you just want to see like um, you know, something where you can just kind of like numb your brain and take down something like slightly entertaining with some quick wit and action. Um, and I'd say like that's kind of what this book is. I agree with what you said. It is lighthearted. It is, in my opinion, it tries incredibly too hard to be funny.
hmm,
And it's like a little sarcasm goes a long way. And they cracked open the box of sarcasm and just dumped the entire box into the book,
yes, they did.
onto the pages.
Yeah,
Um,
agree.
it's just constant, and it's in like I said, here and there, great. Especially if you have one character that's sarcastic and witty, like that can add a lot of depth to that particular character, especially if the others are not. The fact that like they all were, and they
Yeah,
just all are smartasses, to a certain extent. It's like, okay, now everybody's hollow again because just everybody is, you know,
yeah.
sarcastic and trying to be funny and trying to one up each other in a joking way.
They all pretty much had the same personality. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Same
Yeah.
sense of humor, same personality, same way of speaking.
Hmm.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of differentiation between the characters.
No.
Um,
No. Essentially, like if I could go through the plot summary,
mhm.
which will probably take 1 minute because there isn't much of it, in my opinion. You have this guy named Jamie who is like down on his luck. He is trying to make it through the pandemic, which I thought the beginning of the book totally relatable. Like I thought
Yeah,
it was good. He was delivering food via apps. He comes across, first of all, he gets fired from his previous job. And that is kind of what sparks him to deliver food. He's delivering food. He's doing that for a little bit, and then he delivers food to an old friend. And his old friend, they're catching up, and they're just like, hey, I might have an opportunity for you if you want to get out of the city and if you want to get out of this your current job. And Jamie's like, okay, why not? I have nothing better going on. Um,
and there's a ridiculous amount of money involved as well. Like it's a
yes,
really well paid
very well paid.
job. Yeah,
They liken it to like tours. Like basically, you would go away, work for 6 months, and then you would come back and get a break for 3 or 4 or 5 months, and then repeat that cycle. So something akin to a research division where they go on trips, they do what they need to do, and then they come back. And no one would describe this to him like what the job was. They just said that you have to lift things, and they really played into this idea of like, oh, we don't want to tell him about the kaiju a little too long, in my opinion. And so eventually,
I don't know. Actually, I think that kind of did sit with me a little bit. But I
yeah,
think they should have said, "We can't tell you because of national security,"
right.
not just left him hanging and hanging and hanging. Because you
Yes.
wouldn't go along with it. You wouldn't just go, "Oh yeah,
No.
sure, this is all
Yeah,
great. Yeah, woo, we're going off to work now."
I agree.
Um, whereas if they'd said, "Okay, this is super top secret. There's national security involved. We can't tell you anything until we get to this place. Don't worry, you will get filled in, and it's completely safe or whatever." But yeah, I think yeah, you're right. They weren't. They didn't give him anything.
The reason that they
Just like, here,
chose,
get all these jabs and let's
yeah,
go.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, like get all of these inoculations, and then you're good. So,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, I think that if they would have handled it that way instead of like, oh, I just want to see your face when you get there, it's like, okay, you can use that line like once, and then after that, it's not so funny anymore.
Mm.
But so anyway, they basically go through an interdimensional portal, which lands them on this other Earth. And this other Earth is just a vast landscape. I pictured like a just a jungle,
Me too.
you know, like a tropical jungle setting, dense foliage and dense plants, and just filled with creatures that are foreign to our ecosystem. Not
Mm.
only in the sense of kaiju, but you had parasites that kind of acted as that the kaiju would act as hosts for. And that was a big part of the ecological system that they had going on, is that these parasites would could be controlled by pheromones from the kaiju. And you had all sorts of bugs and creatures and things that basically would attempt to kill the humans if they were not careful and protected by the scent of, uh, you know, kaiju pheromones or something like that.
I think the size of everything was difficult
Yeah,
to for me to wrap my head around. I felt like there wasn't enough real description or
comparison.
simile when it
Yeah,
came to the size of things. So I think at one point they were talked about being 100 stories tall, the
yeah,
kaiju.
hmm,
But the parasites, eventually I kind of got it into my brain that they were huge. But when I
yes,
first was hearing about that, in my mind I was thinking fleas or
right, yeah,
things like
like
that.
microscopic
Um,
parasites. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But obviously that's not, these are huge, great kind of tiger-sized parasites or whatever,
hmm,
um, that live on this ecosystem, which is the kaiju.
yeah,
But also there wasn't great description of the actual animal itself.
none.
I have
Yeah,
no idea what it looks like. I
nope.
mean, I've got Godzilla in my brain the whole way through, but then
Yeah,
some of the stuff that they said didn't really work with that. And then, yeah, I wasn't getting a lot of imagery
right.
really through.
No, I completely agree with you. I was disappointed with the lack of variety of like description of kaiju, and like and they don't necessarily talk about them in terms of like Godzilla. So like the only reason that we have Godzilla in our heads is because of what we know of the cinematic universe, of which this is not supposed to be related to, other than through the name kaiju and kind of how that term came to be. They went into some sort of like weird lore about it, being like somewhere overseas they found a lizard that was a little bit bigger than they typically would think, and the media kind of got a hold of it, and that's how they spun it into Godzilla and all the things. So anyway,
Yeah.
the Kaiju Preservation Society is tasked with tracking, monitoring the patterns, the behavior patterns of these giant creatures on this planet, and making sure that they do not cross over onto our dimension. And the reason that that could possibly be a thing is because they describe that each kaiju is essentially has a nuclear reactor within them, and they have the ability to basically like use the energy stored up inside them to crack through the dimension. Is kind of what
Hmm.
I got. Am I
So I think yeah, so the kaiju obviously create a nuclear reaction within them. They've got a reactor and everything else. And also the reason they can come through to our world is because we have also discovered nuclear fusion.
Yeah.
And as soon as we started using nuclear energy, that created this thin
Barrier or
layer,
whatever. Yeah.
and then was able to break through.
Yeah.
And the kaiju are attracted to nuclear energy, so they came through the voids into our world. And this happened, like, so we're going back to the 50s and 60s
Yeah.
when people were doing a lot more experimenting with nuclear energy and
Hmm.
so. So, yeah, I mean, it's slightly tenuous, but
Yeah.
interesting premise.
It is. It is.
That there would be a naturally occurring nuclear fusion within an animal. We know that within space time, nuclear reactions happen. Um, but yeah, so I mean, it happens in nature, just
Hmm.
not the nature where we think about animals and fauna and flora, but it happens in nature as in the cosmos. So I
Yes.
guess it could also happen. Uh, but yeah, it's just I don't think we were ever supposed to think this through too
No.
much.
No. Yeah. You're totally right. Um, And so essentially, what happens is Jamie is tasked with not just lifting things. He basically, I think somebody gets injured and he gets assigned to be somewhat of a tour guide to some of the investors, some of the basically rich folk that have given money to the organization. And lo and behold, one of the people that comes over and tours the place is his ex boss. Um, and he's like this. Um, they just basically describe him as like an Elon Musk type character, right? Like,
Mm,
um, you know,
yeah, similar. Yeah, I think he's probably slightly more stupid than that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not as intelligent, business savvy in the sense that he just, he makes decisions based purely on whether or not it's going to make him money or not. And very careless, very arrogant. And so, anyway, he comes over, and Jamie's tasked with like showing him around, um, which he does. And there's some like actiony type scenes where like he has a bout with some of the parasites, some of the smaller creatures. Um, Jamie is kind of like a hero in some of those types of scenes, and um, yeah, and then eventually, there's really nothing of substance to any of this. So like,
No.
eventually, I'm gonna skip around a little bit because eventually the last act. You did not know as the reader what the heck this was building up for. Like there
Mm,
was, I mean, you could yeah. Eventually, there's signs of other people that have somehow gotten through, and not through like the standard way that people are supposed to come through to this dimension. So then you have like basically a security threat. People are coming over here. You kind of have a situation where the team, the Preservation Society, is then needs to figure out what this other group of people are doing. They are a hostile group of people, and oh, by the way, also one of the kaiju went missing. And
yeah.
so, Claire, I don't know if I'm doing a good job describing this as it's going. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to kind of read it really, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean
yeah,
that generally is what happens. He gets to this world and gets involved in all of the science and lifting things and logistics, and they go out on some field expeditions where I think one of the fun more fun scenes, one of the more interesting parts of the book were when they were getting one of the kaiju to mate with another one of the kaiju because um, I think this female kaiju had been coming on to the male kaiju, and the male kaiju was having none of it and didn't really want anything to do with her. So they went out and sprayed pheromones around and tried to get him to be more interested in it because obviously if you've got a breeding kaiju, then that's going to be more interesting to science.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was quite a fun little bit of the book. I enjoyed that bit, but I also kind of, it occurs to me that that's also not something that we would generally do as a race these days because we know better than to get involved in trying to manipulate nature in that way.
Mm,
Um, so I mean, it's sort of akin to pandas,
right.
where they're quite difficult to get them to breed. So we get involved and we do breed them in captivity and everything else, and we try and get them, to repopulate. So it's sort of similar to that, but they're not doing it for that reason. They're doing it because they want to see a kaiju laying eggs and doing what it does.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's basically the catalyst for everything that happens after that. So they get this female kaiju to start laying eggs. Apparently, they lay an inordinate amount of eggs over a period of several sort of clutches, if you like, from one encounter. Um, and then while she's roosting. I don't know what do you call that when birds are sitting on because
Yeah,
it's
that's
sort of similar to birds, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. So while she's sitting on her eggs,
Nesting. Yeah.
that's when she disappears with all of her eggs as well, and she's just gone. Like this 100-foot creature or 100-story tall, mile-high creature has just disappeared um, out of nowhere, and there's no sign of her anywhere. So like it's just kind of weird, and they have to work out what happened. So yeah, I mean that happened, but I quite liked the whole breeding and the sciencey bit of
Mm-hmm.
it. Uh, it would be good if I don't know. Can we manufacture pheromones like that? I guess we probably could if we worked hard enough.
Sorry.
But
Um.
no worries.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh. I don't know. Yeah. I
It's
don't
kind of
know.
we're struggling, aren't we, with this book
We
to
are
actually
struggling with
talk about it in
this.
any great detail because like you said, it's very dialogue heavy.
Yeah.
The dialogue is all 90% sarcasm,
Yeah.
trying to be funny. When people do die in the book, like
Yeah.
there is some sadness in the book, it doesn't really come across. Because they're really that sarcastic kind of language tone continues even when they're extremely sad about their friend dying. Um, they're put in great danger at one point and they're still cracking jokes and being
Yeah.
sarcastic and there's no kind of you don't get the fear. All
Right.
it's
Right.
just it's I don't want to shit on this book too much. Sorry,
Oh,
excuse
I'm.
my language.
I mean, I was going to. So.
Because I think overall I probably quite enjoyed it just as
Yeah.
a kind of didn't really need to think about it too much, bit of a fun like read.
Mm-hmm.
And after I got over Will Wheaton kind of irritating me with his delivery, um, which he doesn't irritate me in every book that he's read. So I
No.
don't know why he did so much on this one. But
Yeah.
I think it was the material plus his delivery was
Yeah.
not ideal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I think overall, I probably enjoyed it more than you did.
Yeah.
But I kind of just suspended disbelief and just enjoyed it for what it was, really.
Yeah.
And I think also listening to the afterword helped me
Helped
a little
you.
bit with it
Yeah. Yeah. The
because
empathy in you kind of.
yeah, yeah, and he does say, that this is a pop song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not a great work of art. It's a three-chord pop song that
Right.
he wrote, that he enjoyed writing, that it came out on the page. And I think that analogy kind of worked for me. I think, yeah, you're right. It's a pop song.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that sentiment. Clearly, I think what's interesting about how this book, because if you look on Audible, if you look on Goodreads, if you look anywhere, this book is rated, if they have, let's say that they have like a 4-star system, this book is rated like 4.5 out of 5. And
Mm,
so I had maybe too high of expectation going into it, and I'm usually the type of person that likes dialogue heavy books. But oh my goodness, I struggled with this book. Um,
yeah.
Not just I didn't struggle with finishing it. Like there was that was fine. It's not like I was like, oh my god, I have to keep listening to this. But it was, I think the content wasn't what I had hoped it to be. I think that, and this is my own bias for sure, but I think I was hoping for like a Jurassic Park type of a ride. Like
Yeah.
I was hoping it for it to be maybe a little bit darker and a little bit more gritty, and that was not what the author had intended. Um,
Mm.
and I think what's interesting is that not only was that not what Scalzi had intended, he wanted to write this as a lighthearted, like you said, romp. It was, I think it's telling about the audience's reaction to it. And it's almost as if, like, you see these ratings, and I think that that's just where people are at, or at least
Oh, I agree.
they
I was just
were.
about to say the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think you're absolutely spot on with that. It is very much a case of we had so much shit to
heaviness.
deal with,
Yeah,
and it was so heavy, and there was so much going on, and it was, um, we all had COVID, we're all locked in, we're lonely, we're so
protests
bad
and
about all of the
yeah,
stuff that's going on in the world with protests and
war.
what happened at the Capitol in
Yeah,
the US, and all of that stuff is going on, and everyone's feeling really heavy, and nobody wants to keep reading really heavy books
apparently
at
I
that
do.
point because it's too much. Yeah, I know. I do as well to a point, but then
Yeah,
again I'm looking today and I'm thinking, right, what's our next book going to be?
yeah,
And I'm actually thinking, I'm not sure I want to read anything. I've got a list of books that I want to read,
yeah,
and all of them at the moment, I'm thinking I'm not strong enough yet for that.
yeah. That's fair.
And I feel guilty about it because I want to read more
Hmm.
about it, but at the same time, I'm not feeling like I'm in that place yet. Like,
Yeah, I think that that's an interesting conversation, and an interesting like thing to think about, because we absolutely seem to be, as a society, ready to gobble up the mind-numbing, don't need heavy explanation, just kind of give me an entertaining, lighthearted piece of entertainment, and I will be ecstatic about it. Like
mm,
so. To me, that is like what I can try to analyze and decipher from the reviews and the work, and that's not to say that you know Scalzi is not a bad writer.
not at all. No.
I do think that he probably went a little bit overboard on the sarcasm, lightheartedness of it all, at least for me.
Mm,
And coupled with Will Wheaton's narration of it, he he has the other two books that Will Wheaton has uh, narrated that I listened to was The Martian and Project Hail Mary.
mm,
And I loved Project Hail Mary, um, but I
yeah,
loved it for the
me too.
content. Um, and I felt like the way that Will Wheaton narrated it was appropriate for that book. Like it was a perfect marriage. Um,
Mm,
but Will Wheaton's narration style is to over emote when he's
yeah.
reading, like times 1,000. So like emphasis on certain syllables, changes his
Yeah.
tone of voice, for like, and it seems to always be emotive in the direction of like cracking jokes and sarcasm. So I don't know if that made it that much harder, or like that made the sarcasm that much more pronounced. But it definitely seemed, it wasn't a good pairing to me.
No.
I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really enjoy this book. So, which is a bummer because I was actually really looking forward to this book, or at least the what I had hoped it to be, and that
Yeah.
is completely on me. That is a me problem. So I own that.
So I have to say, right, so here we go about narrators now. So just to pick up on what you were talking about then. So I listened to The Martian, which Will Wheaton narrated, but Project Hail Mary was narrated by Ray Porter, who also
Oh, really?
narrated another book that is, in my opinion, better than the Kaiju Preservation Society, but in a similar theme, which is Outland by Dennis E. Taylor,
Oh, I've never
who
read
also
that.
wrote the We Are Bob, We Are Legion
Oh, okay.
series, which is also one of my favorite sci-fi series. And it's also light-hearted and funny, and um but yeah, so Ray Porter uh narrated Project Hail Mary for me, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh no,
um
you were totally right, Claire. It says narrated by Ray Porter for me as
yeah,
well. I don't know why I thought it was
but The
Will Wheaton.
Martian was by Will Wheaton, so maybe that was, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
But they're similar. I keep saying similar. Similar style,
Mm-hmm.
but I think maybe slightly less over the top than Will Wheaton. But Outland, if anybody does want to read it, I wouldn't say don't read this because I think it's a fun, short-ish book that you can get through pretty quickly, and it's quite fun to read and or listen to. But Outland is another one where you have an interdimensional portal, so they go through to an alternative Earth, um, and it is science based again. So there, it's actually to do with Yellowstone erupting, which they create a they accidentally create an interdimensional portal. Um, it's an alternate Earth with identical geology, but where humans never evolved. And the group races to establish control of the portal before the government, the military, or evildoers can take it away. And then Yellowstone supervolcano erupts in an explosion large enough to destroy civilization and kill half the planet. So, and then they start trying to bring people through to Outland and setting up a new society and everything else. And I think it's a much better book, but
Okay.
you know, so definitely worth reading.
Yeah.
Uh, and then yeah, there was another one that's the Long Earth series, which is another long series of sci-fi books about alternative Earths as well. But yeah, so one of my favorite genres, I think, that kind of alternative universe type stuff. I think is fun.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like multiverse stuff in general is definitely interesting. I just had higher hopes for this, and so
Yeah.
um, do we want to talk about the ending, like spoilers, or do we just want to leave it in case anybody wants
I mean,
you
we
know?
can do, so we can give our spoiler
Okay,
warning now, and then just go. Just in case people aren't going to read it, we can synopsize what happens.
sure.
Um,
Then in that case, we will go ahead and do the spoiler warning right here. And from this point on, we'll be talking about spoilers. You feel free to skip ahead, and because we will be giving this a rating, and then we'll be talking about our next books.
so I think this is a fairly quick.
It will be super
What I
quick.
will say about this book actually is that I didn't feel at any point it was rushed or slow. I think it was pretty even. The pacing was pretty even all the way through. I don't know what you think.
I thought that the plot the plot at the end could have like they could have found signs of others much sooner in the book that may have drawn more of a mystery and like
Mm.
suspense angle to it, like if people started to disappear or like it just it didn't seem rushed, but it almost seemed as though that Scalzi got to a point where he's like, oh, I gotta like do something with this book. Like
Mm-hmm.
there has to be like some sort of big thing that happens. And
Yeah.
so he just kind of like puts it in the last 100 pages, maybe even 75 pages of the book. It's
Yeah, the inciting incident, I suppose, which
yeah,
is Bella disappearing,
right.
is much later in the book than you would expect it to be. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we had talked about one of the kaiju going missing. Bella, one of the kaiju, uh, that's what they named the creature, did go missing. Was transported to a remote location in northern Canada,
Mm-hmm.
where on the other side of that dimensional portal was a team of mercenaries, essentially. And the big reveal, unsurprising, at least to me, was that it was Raymond, right? Raymond was the antagonist.
That his name? I've
That's
forgotten what.
I think so.
Yeah, his
Again,
ex-boss.
yeah,
Anyway,
his
like
ex boss.
what a
Yeah,
shock.
what
Yeah,
a shock.
not a shock at all. Yeah,
Not a shock at all.
absolute arsehole, and
Yeah,
was proved to be even more of an arsehole than we originally thought. Yeah.
exactly. So, um, they Scalzi kind of like tried to say that there is some sort of history between the Preservation Society and his family going back decades, and essentially the tie-in is that Raymond is still very interested in harvesting or using the nuclear energy inside of Bella to harness that energy into a different way. But what that would mean is that Bella would have to be on our Earth in our dimension. So yeah, so
Which
essentially,
she can't be because the air's different. She can't actually live in
no.
that climate.
Yeah, the
And she starts to basically break down and have, uh, what do you call it, melt down the reactor.
yeah, yeah, like yeah, yep, perfect.
She's about to blow up
She's
and
about to
kill
blow up.
thousands. Yeah,
Yeah.
because even though they're in a remote area of Canada, they're quite close to an army base and or an air force base and subsequently a little town.
Hmm.
And because kaiju migrate towards water when they're reacting, when they're over, when they're melting down or whatever, um, she would be going towards that town, and then she would explode and kill everybody. And he was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine."
Yeah. He's yeah. Yeah. Um. So Jamie and a few of the KPS team members go against their superiors' orders and go out looking for Bella. They stumble across this interdimensional portal so then they go through it. They end up in Canada and immediately are asked to surrender to the mercenaries. They're held at gunpoint, and that's the reveal. Then that's when Raymond is revealed to be like the dun dun dun, the big antagonist leader
So
of yeah.
this is the scene I had the biggest problem with, right?
Okay, okay,
So there
yeah,
are these scientists who are geeks, nerds,
right,
proper scientist nerds. Nothing against scientist nerds. I wish I was one. Absolutely love scientist nerds. But anyway, they are biologists and physicists and um, chemists, and they're taken at gunpoint, including Jamie, who is lifts things and is an ex bike delivery person and an ex marketing director or something. Um, and they're taken at gunpoint by scary men with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, ARs and held at gunpoint, and they're told they're going to die. They are going to be killed because. And then there's this weird reference to monologuing from
Yeah.
The Incredibles, which is just a bit like, okay, it was quite funny, but not, probably a bit too try hard. Um, and they're not scared at all. They're just like
No.
still going with the funny quips and the sarcastic remarks and the smart assness. And that was my biggest issue with the scene. I'm like, okay, so you're being held at gunpoint and you are not scared. You don't care at all.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Like they were so loyal to this
Hmm.
job, or yeah, like I don't know,
Yeah.
loyal to the mission, I guess. I don't
Mhm.
know. Anyway, I
Anyway, it
agree.
makes sense.
I mean, the whole thing just kind of like as it was playing out, I was like, this is about what I expected from a scene like this in a book like
Hmm.
this. Um, Essentially, um, they had apparently previously attached some anti I don't know what you would call it. Like basically it's a pheromone, but it's the opposite of like a attraction pheromone
Mm.
that was on Bella, and so they release these bombs. Jamie and his team do, which send the parasites basically going into attack anything that isn't Bella mode. And so then the parasites leave Bella and take out like the bad guys essentially.
Yeah.
And then there's a helicopter that comes through the portal that happens to be KPS as well. Sati is the pilot's name, and Sati ends up bringing the helicopter through to get them out or bring them back. And they pick up Jamie, and there's like this little chase scene that occurs between Bella and the helicopter, and they basically have to lure Bella back through the portal.
Hmm.
And
Yay, science.
that's that. That's essentially the book, right? Like, there's nothing
Yeah.
else. I don't think that there's anything else actually like major that happens.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think the only other thing to say that is a real positive about this book is the inclusivity within the
Yes.
book.
Yeah.
Um, so there are, and John Scalzi, I believe, is known for
Oh, really?
using neutral pronouns
Yeah.
and having non-binary characters and having LGBTQ plus characters, and it not being referred to particularly. It's just a fact that that
Yeah.
person is there and they are non-binary.
Yep.
Because, and the only reason you know that is because the pronouns
Of the
that are used.
pronouns. Yep.
It's not referred to in a specific, it's not a flag waving, hey, there's
Right.
non-binary person in this
Right.
book.
Right.
Um, and I really like that. I really like that a lot.
I thought that that was a great touch. I will say. I liked that. I liked the fact that there is not like a in your face explanation.
Hmm.
It's just it is what It's just how it's written, and I liked that.
Yeah.
It made it seem very natural, which it should be. So
And also, because we listened to it, Jamie in our book that we listened to was male because it was will or seemed to be male. Um, but I know there's a bit of discussion around the physical book
oh, I
reading
didn't
it as
know
to
that.
whether Jamie is actually male or female because it's not really
Oh,
referred to at all.
I
So,
you know what? I didn't even think about that.
mm. So
I think I
yeah, I
also
mean
had it in
it's
my head
that's
that
kind of.
Jamie was male.
Hmm. Yeah, so yeah, I mean me too, but I think that's probably because of the way it was read to us rather than because we read it on the page, if you know what I mean. But anyway, it
Yeah.
was yeah, I mean it was an okay book. I wouldn't. it's definitely not going to be on my reread list, but it was okay.
Yeah. Should we go ahead and give this a rating?
Yeah,
All right, let's do it.
you fair.
Um, okay, this is not going to be hard for me. Um, for those of you that are listening and watching the podcast, we do have a unique rating system. Um, 1 star being a complete waste of time, 2 stars fine but not happy with it, 3 stars satisfactory, not too bad. Then we have 4 stars loved reading it, and 5 stars was impactful. Um, okay. I am definitely in the 2 star camp.
Hmm.
Fine, but not happy with it. It was more irritating than rewarding. I completely agree with that sentiment. For me, it was problematic, but not so much of a struggle to like finish it. So, like I said, I did finish the book, and I had no issue finishing the book. Part of that being that it was a shorter book, so I did like that fact. um, I can't say that I would recommend this book to anybody. Claire, what do you think?
um, See, now I'm tossing up between two and three. Um, I think it was okay. I enjoyed reading it. It wasn't too bad, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, I also agree with the fact that it was slightly irritating. Um, there were some problems with it. So
Yeah,
maybe I should be more two and a half than three. So I think, yeah, because I'm definitely not. What we generally say is anything over a three, we would start, or anything from three and over, we
yeah,
would start recommending other people read it. I think while I'm not saying don't read it, I'm also not going to say, I'm not passing this around to my friends saying, hey, you got to read this book. So
right, right.
I think, yeah, two and a half for me.
Which, if I think about our last fiction book, Clara and the Sun, I think
Mm.
I would recommend.
Hmm.
So just to compare the two fiction books that we've read so far, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
All right.
So that kind of brings us to the end of the book discussion. Um, if you are interested in reading this book, um, after listening to us talk about it so much, then more power to you. If you aren't, then at least we got to read it for you.
Mhm.
Should we talk about our books for our
Yes.
next 2 books?
Okay, so books for the remaining weeks of May into June.
So,
Uh,
real quick,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. The
Mhm.
first, or the next book, I should say, which will be the nonfiction book, correct? If we're
Yeah.
going alternating, um,
Hmm.
we will want to have this read by Sunday, the 22nd.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this is our non-fiction book. Is going to be 10 Steps to Nanette by Hannah Gadsby. So I'm really excited to read this, and I don't know if anyone else has seen her Netflix special, Nanette, but that it's a comedy special. Comedy is not the right word for it. It is life changing. It is just I if you haven't seen the Netflix special, watch the Netflix special, read the book.
Okay.
I'm so excited to read this. I cannot tell you. So, um, yeah, and if you want to do a watch party and we'll watch it together, I would love that.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds cool.
so, yeah, I mean, this I'm really excited to read this. But the blurb, um, so, multi award winning Hannah Gadsby transformed comedy with her show Nanette, even as she declared that she was quitting stand up. Now she takes us through the defining moments in her life that led to the creation of Nanette and her powerful decision to tell the truth no matter the cost.
Mm,
Um, it is. I'm just cannot tell you how excited I am to read that book, but I won't go into it too much now because I think it would be good for people if they haven't already discovered Hannah Gadsby from her Netflix special, which
yeah.
did go viral.
Okay.
then please go and watch it because it's absolutely fantastic.
So
Uh, yeah.
when Claire and I were discussing about like what the next book or books should be, Claire recommended this book, and um, you had said like you have to watch the Netflix special first. Like that is going to be crucial to
Hmm.
probably like what is coming with this book. Um, so I have never heard. I don't like the name Hannah Gadsby does not ring a bell, but I'm excited to learn more about who this person is, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of this.
So she's from Tasmania, which is an island near Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So she's from down under. But yeah, she's an incredible woman, and I think you will love that Netflix special.
Oh,
So
I'm looking forward to it
can't,
then.
can't wait to hear what you have to say about it.
Cool, cool.
And then our fiction book.
Yes,
So this one we would be looking to have completed by the 5th of June.
that sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. And this is The Island of Missing Trees by uh, Elif Shafak or Elif Shafak. And this is a non-fiction book set around the island of Cyprus, which was split into two. There was a Turkish half and a Greek half um, at some point during the 20th century. And this is a story of two people that are um, met on this island, and two. It says two teenagers, a Greek Cypriot and a Turkish Cypriot, meet at a taverna on the island they both call home. In the taverna, hidden beneath garlands of garlic, chili peppers, and creeping honeysuckle, Costas and Daphne grow in their forbidden love for each other. A fig tree stretches through a cavity in the roof, and this tree bears witness to their hushed, happy meetings and eventually to their silent, surreptitious departures. The tree is there when war breaks out, when the capital is reduced to ashes and rubble, and when the teenagers vanish. Decades later, Costas returns. He is a botanist looking for native species, but really he's searching for lost love. And then, yeah, there's a bit more blurb to it, but we'll kind of let you read it and decide if you want to join in with us on these books. I will post the links in the Discord.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, I hope you come along and read with us and join us for our next podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to these next two books. Um, Claire and I both were kind of in the mood to step out of our sci-fi fantasy like comfort zone. I think when it comes
Hmm.
to fiction, so I'm looking forward to what I hope to be a really like unique story. So, and that how did you hear about this book, Claire?
I think it just came up on one of my recommendeds.
Okay.
So I quite often look through. I do find it a little bit limiting, actually, the whole recommend listen to this next or read this next or
Yes.
listen thing, because it
Yep.
is very tailored to what I read, but also I do want to branch out and read around other subjects and read other sorts of books. So it can be a little bit limiting. It's like my own little echo chamber when I look at just recommended reads, but this, yeah, definitely recommended. Um, and I thought, it's not sci-fi. It's a straightforward story. There's going to be a little bit of history in there around European history around war and social history, which is what I'm really interested in. And also there's a bit of a love story going on. And allegedly, it's got really great reviews. The writing is beautiful. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I am also looking forward to it, and I am debating whether or not I think I have a feeling that I'm going to do maybe the audiobook for Hannah Gadsby's if
Hmm.
she has narrated her book. Um,
I have a feeling she has, but
okay.
I'm going to check it.
But I think the Island of Missing Trees. I think I am going to go support one of my indie local bookstores near me. I will have to travel a little bit for it, but it's called Dog Eared Books, and It is like a cafe slash uh, dog friendly bookstore, and I've been wanting to check it out for a really long time. So I think I'm going to
Oh,
do that.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I do already have a physical copy of the book of
you do.
the
Okay.
non of the fiction book.
Okay.
Um,
Perfect.
so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The Island of Missing Trees, and yeah, I am going to listen to Nanette because it is Hannah Gadsby that narrates it. So
Awesome.
yeah, and it's also on Audible. It actually has a 4.9 rating currently
Wow.
with 132 ratings. So
Oh
it
my
is,
word.
yeah, it's got like 8 4-star reviews, and that's it.
Okay. Wow.
Everything else is 5 stars. So yeah,
That's awesome.
there we go. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, um, I look for our socials. Just a reminder of our socials. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and through either of those, we'll make sure that there's Discord link in there so that you can join our chats offline. And stay tuned for a TikTok as well.
Woohoo!
Is there anything else, Claire?
Any ideas for TikTok? Gratefully received. Please DM us if you have some phenomenal idea for TikTok type stuff,
Absolutely.
or if you just want to be our, free
If you want to be
social
our
media
poster
manager.
child,
Yeah, that'd be great too.
yeah, absolutely. Well,
Thanks for listening.
yes, absolutely. Claire, thank you. As always, I was really looking forward to this. Even though I was not a fan of the book, it's still something that I looked forward to doing today. So,
Yeah, definitely. Always.
all right, everybody. Well, stay tuned for next time. Bye.
Bye.
And scene. We
Yay.
did it.
Yay, we did it. Okay, Twitch, we're back in the room.
Yes. Um, I see Elite in the comments here. Phew, thank God I didn't get it then. I'm assuming you're talking about the book Elite. Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
I
bad.
it
Yeah.
I would be curious to hear other people's opinions on it, and like Claire said, I'm wondering what Scalzi's other work is like, and if it's similar or different than what this book was, because yeah, wasn't a huge fan.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't do a deep dive this time round. I didn't like, start reading my author and then read three other books at the same time by the same author.
Right.
Um, I just didn't fancy it, any of it, but I will do at some point. I want to read something that he's done other than this, just to, compare and contrast, really. But yeah,
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, just yeah, this book just wasn't for me. And I really
hmm
thought that it was going to be. So, but that happens.
but yeah, shorter one this time. So
Shorter one,
I have a
which
feeling next
yeah.
one is going to be the full whack.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how many pages the Island of Missing Trees is, but
I can't. I mean, it's not huge, but it's
no.
not. It's not a short book.
If I go to Audible right now and look for 10 Steps to Nanette,
I've just popped it
that
in.
one looks like it's clocking in at about 14 hours.
Hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and get this and add it to my library a while.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to read it. Listen to it. I always say read, even when I'm listening.
So do
Thank
I.
you so much.
I don't know what the proper use of the terms are there. But yeah, I'm still counting it as a book that I read. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Definitely. Just because
consumed.
someone else reads it to you doesn't mean you're not, reading the book yourself.
Maybe it should just be like book that we consumed or something. I don't know.
So I think I. Oh, hang on. Let me check my subscription. Uh,
Thank you, KP.
I'm on Audible Premium Plus, and I get 1 credit a month, and that is. Why does it tell me how much it actually costs me, and why don't I know off the top of my head?
I don't know. I do the yearly subscription, so that comes with like I think it comes with like an additional three
Oh,
credits.
yeah, mine's 7.99 a month.
Okay, that's pretty
Um,
cheap actually.
yeah,
That's
so
cheaper
but that's
than
pounds, so I guess it's like $10 to you
okay.
guys.
Yeah, I want to say that the monthly rate here in the states is like 13, which is quite a lot, I think. But
But I've switched it around a bit, so I occasionally will do. I might switch it up to the 2 credits a month plan, and then go back to the 1 credit a month plan, depending on how many I've got in the bank.
yeah,
So at the moment,
yeah.
I've just bought one. I've still got 2 credits sat there waiting. So
So
um,
yeah, yeah. Because
I'm
we're
kind of staying ahead of it.
yeah, Summonik is in the UK as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's one book. Yeah, seven ninety
Yes.
nine a month, and you get 1 book. But they do also have sales. They also have a lot of included work in
Mm-hmm.
there that you can listen to for free. There's a lot in that actually that I'm
Yeah.
reading one at the moment that is in there included. So it's a pretty good deal. There's also podcasts you can listen to that they do as well.
Yep. Yep. Um, I would say be careful. Depending on how much you consume, it can get costly. Like if you're just gonna buy an audiobook outright, I think it's like 20 something. Like
Yeah.
the credits are kind of like microtransactions in a sense. So it's perfect if you are like one book a month, 1 credit a month. That's all I'm going to be able to read. That's perfect. But if you're somebody that wants to consume multiple books in a month, sometimes your local library will have audiobooks that you can listen to via their like local library app. Um, so check into that as well if you're interested.
But
Um,
they do also have like sales. So at the moment there's
yes.
a £3 sale on. And there's some really good books in the £3 sale. So one of them is a Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own, which has been in my wish list for a while. So I'm probably just going to buy that because it's like £3. So
Mm-hmm.
why would I
Yeah,
use a credit that I can use on a book that's like 20 quid?
exactly.
Um, I'll just buy it for £3. So yeah,
Yeah. And they also
but I
do
do think it's a good deal.
credit sales as well. Like every once in a
Mm.
while I'll get an email from Audible that says like, "Hey, 3 credits for I don't know, $20 or something like that."
Yeah.
And so but I also do the yearly subscription. So at minimum, I think it gives me 12 credits, one per month, and then I think there's like it might give me like 3 additional credits or something for purchasing ahead of time.
No, so once you've bought it, it's yours forever. You own it. So even if you're
Yes.
not subscribed anymore, they're still in your Audible library.
Yep.
So you've bought that book, it now belongs to you.
With the library stuff, yes. It will eventually, like your code for it will expire if you're listening to it via library.
Hmm.
Because I think that has happened to KP.
Oh, it has?
I think it happened to KP when uh, maybe or somebody.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, I've been a member for so long now. Um, but yeah, I don't think I've ever actually cancelled my membership or paused it or anything. I bought my dad a membership. I have no idea if he uses it or not.
my
Yeah, I've got
yeah
210 books on Audible. So
yeah that's definitely a lot.
but I listen to them a lot when I'm driving or whatever. And I'm not
Me
driving a
too.
lot at the moment, so I'm going to struggle a little bit. But I'm going to be, doing some crochet and chilling at home. So I'm going to make sure I like actually spend some hours either doing housework, listening to stuff, or crocheting or something like mindless so I can listen. Because what
Yeah.
I do struggle with audiobooks is I can't just sit and listen to an audiobook. I've got to be doing something, so driving or
Or cleaning
working or
or
cooking,
yeah.
cleaning or something.
Yeah, same. And I have been driving a lot for work lately, so that's how I've been consuming them.
Yeah,
And now that we're approaching like summer, that will not be the case. So I'll have
yeah.
to.
You have to
I
be more disciplined.
more disciplined, or like I maybe I'll go for walks where I just try to listen to an hour at a time type of thing. I know that Elite walks and listens and bikes and listens to them, so yeah.
So the one thing I would say, Sam, is to make sure that you listen to the sample before you buy it, and also read the reviews of the narration because it doesn't happen very often, but very occasionally you'll get one that the narrator is just either really irritating or I did read one book once, I can't remember what it was, and I was listening to it and I had to put it on double speed because it was so slow.
Yeah.
It was
uh,
driving me nuts. But yeah, you can listen to the samples before you buy, and then you can check that the narration's going to be something that you're interested in. And,
um
but yeah, I mean, it's great. I love Audible. Really, really love it.
Something also to consider, if you are listening to a an older book, like say from like the 90s 2000s, sometimes their recordings of the books are a little bit dated, so that can make a difference too.
Yeah, but there's some really good stuff on there. They've also got stuff like I think there's some radio productions of like Terry Pratchett and stuff that are really good with like different characters voiced by different people, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. KP, listen to this podcast while you clean. That's awesome.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
So also, I the great thing about the Audible app is that it's got a timer on it, so I can
Yes,
listen when I'm going to sleep, and I'll put it on for half an hour, and I know that even if I've fallen asleep during it, I there's some point within that half an hour that I can rewind back to and work out where I was.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
that is really handy for me. Like I think the other night I put it on and I put a half an hour timer on as usual, and I was like asleep within about a minute and a half. Basically had to go back and start again from the beginning. So there we
Yeah.
go. But yeah, I'll put the links in the to these two books in the Discord, and then if anybody wants to read along, they're welcome to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everybody for hanging out in the Twitch chat today. It does mean a lot to us. And look for Um, gosh, I don't know when the audio recording of this will come out because we have a bit of a delay. We have this one will essentially be in the can, as they say in the industry. We'll either my goal would be to release the last episode's audio podcast this coming Wednesday if I can get the audio from it, from Blanc, and then the following Wednesday. This way we're back on track, with our audio podcasts. So anyway, um, thanks everybody for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
I hope you have a good week, and I hope that you get some reading done.
Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye, guys.